Hey, so Jason and I have been chatting about different themes, different features that come up time and time again in our work. And we wanted to sort of share some of those with you. And one of the key things that we've seen come up again and again is around queer belonging. What does it mean as a queer person to belong in community, to belong with each other, and then sort of to belong to ourselves? And we want to talk now into, yeah, what is queer belonging? What is for us our needs, and what do we see again and again as the needs for others? So yeah, Jason, like for you, what is queer belonging?
It's a good question. Queer belonging, I can say I've probably spent most, if not all of my life kind of grappling with this question of where do I belong? Um, Both geographically, as someone who's lived in different countries, in different cultures, this has been a huge question for me. But just at that core of like, who are my people? And if that's kind of a friend group or like chosen family or biological family or lovers or partners, I have really, really struggled with this question. And in many ways continue to. And it's actually one of the big drivers for me of wanting to build community and wanting to like invite people to things that I love.
Mhm,
Um, because I know that this is not unique to me.
mhm,
And what I have experienced in my life and what I see in a lot of queer people is growing up as a gay boy in the closet, there's just this fundamental feeling of being different.
yeah. And there's this place that you, when you're growing up, that you feel the need to hide
Mm.
exactly who you are, which already creates a separation from others. So, and also creates a separation from ourselves because there is a part of myself that I feel either I don't want to admit to myself, or maybe I'm not even aware is there, but there's something pushed down, or I really don't want to admit to other people because it will take away from any sense of belonging that I'm having, or I believe it will take away from any sense of belonging that I'm having. So there's this place that for a lot of us as teenagers, we get bathed in this idea that we don't belong. And for me, that that transpired as a massive fear of gay people because I was so terrified of being outed or anyone finding out that I was gay that um, that I was scared of meeting any gay people because I was terrified that they would point to, oh, you must be gay, and therefore out me. But then once I had come out, that continued. That fear of other gay people, that fear that they were able to see something in me that I wasn't ready to show, was a terrifying thing. So I started to very much use other gay people either for sex or for relationships and had no other connection with gay or queer community because it terrified me. And I didn't see that as being a place that I could belong because I was still carrying this shame of being gay and the projection of that shame onto other gay people. So
Mm.
where do I find a sense of belonging within queer community?
Yeah, I kind of went the other direction. I came out at the age of 18, and when I finished university, ended up moving to the gayest place in the world of San Francisco. uh, but what I found was, what I was hoping is that I would land in the Castro and like there would be like glitter cannons going off to celebrate my arrival, and that there would be all of these fabulous gay people who were just so excited to like welcome me into the family. And then I started going into bars and clubs and gay spaces and felt people were very judgmental, like it was very bitchy, and I just didn't know how to fit into these spaces. And I often felt like there was a certain way to be gay, or let's say ways. There's like the archetypes, and none of them quite fit with me. Like I didn't want to be this like muscle dude, but I also didn't want to be the like sassy queen. And so I felt like I was kind of, you were pushed into one of these molds. And it
Mm.
was like, well, I don't actually, most of these could resonate a little bit. And there's something there that was very attractive, but it
Mm-hmm.
felt too strong,
Mm-hmm.
like it never quite fit 100%.
Yeah. And I think about this phrase that was taught to me about someone who was facilitating a workshop that I was in, where he said that as queer people, we are the only minority group, this is a generalized statement, but the only minority group that is not raised by people of that same minority. So we're not brought into the world um, with a sense of who we are in relation to the majority around us. We have to work that out for ourselves. And we're generally working that out for ourselves with a whole load of other people who have been super confused about who they are and super muddled in this thing and thinking, well, this is my community, but it's not because I was not really raised around these people, but I've now got to find myself in this community. I'm possibly carrying a lot of rejection issues, a lot of issues in myself that are who do I land? How do I sit? How do I get my intimacy needs met? And all of this goes into the sense like, well, who do I belong to? And how do I belong to myself? And yeah, I think that this is kind of a place that our hearts ache for. Is like, where is my place? Where is my tribe? Where are my people? And there's something that's so can be so difficult within this community because when we meet each other, often the first thing that comes up when we meet each other is, do I want to fuck you? Or do you want to fuck me? And actually, that can be such an instant response that we start playing off. Like whether I might really fancy the other, so therefore I put on the mask of, hey, I really like you, and I'm going to try and seek you and find out whether you like me, or whether I really don't like you, but I feel that you like me, so all of my barriers and walls go up to say, I really don't want to give you any impression at all that I like you, so I don't want to give you any possible reason that I'm going to have to say no to you. So every fucking one of my barriers comes up here. And from this place, this is also the potential of my community. That's super confusing.
Mm. Yeah, what I find is, as young people, naturally we had to develop this protection, this armor to move through life.
Mm.
And what I love about queer people is like we have the most fabulous armor, and I think that we've really managed to take our armor into places of empowerment. And I think there's a lot to be proud of as queer people, the way that we're able to forge our own path in a world that doesn't provide one for us. And there's like a deep sense of independence and self-reliance that I see among queer people that I think is incredibly beautiful and inspiring. But what I find often is when we get into queer spaces, we have all of this armor that we've developed in our lives, and then we're with one another and we don't know how to take it off.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to now feel a sense of belonging or a sense of family or a sense of love, but we're still so caught in our own protection mechanisms that we don't know how to actually connect with one another on deeper levels. And I think that's what leads to this feeling of superficiality that a lot of queer people feel.
And I know for me, like, I very much rejected a lot of that from growing up. Like, I felt quite a lot of shame around gay people that were wearing that armor. And I didn't want to be associated with that. And my armor that I created was, I'm not like those gays. And that kept me away from being able to connect to community as well, and able to connect to people that are having similar experiences to me, because I was in a lot of judgment around that particular piece of armor. And when I would meet another gay person, a lot of my initial connection was, hi, nice to meet you. I'm not like those people. I'm a different gay. And this was also a real armor, but like totally denied the fact that what is the potential of my intimate connection with this person beyond seeking to have my loneliness needs met, beyond seeking to have those places in me that were just feeling lonely and small, and like what actually could exist with this person in front of me.
Yeah, I think you're speaking so beautifully into like how do we connect in intimacy with one another as queer people. And what I've often found is that there tends to be the either like kind of meaningless, this is just a casual encounter, we're just having fun. Even if maybe one or both of us would like it to be more, but we really struggle with actually taking that armor off, and connecting with one another on a deeper level. Or there's this kind of full package of like, now we're going to be a couple and we're in a relationship, and then navigating, you know, all of the meaning making of being in a love or romantic relationship. And what I really love about the work that you and I are creating, and I think the types of spaces that we're opening for people, is a chance to explore, what does it mean to be in erotic community? What does it mean as queer people to get to explore our bodies and our pleasure and our sexuality in a way that is very generous, in a way that's very giving, in a way that's very loving, but without needing it to be in the box of this is a, you know, committed romantic relationship, nor is it on the pole of this is actually meaningless. But this can be really ripe with meaning.
Yeah, and I think that goes really into our understanding of what is eroticism. So, like, the idea of eroticism being that it is just connected to sex and sexuality, and I think where we both like really connect in this is that eroticism is something that's experienced for ourselves, and how do we learn to really bring and own our own eroticism in that maybe it doesn't need to be dropped into someone else or in connection. Maybe I can sit with you, and where I can be in that eroticism without needing to get anything. That my eroticism isn't needing to pull the other one in. That it's mine, and to allow that to spread and feel good in myself. And I think that's in that place that we're not denying that it's there, but it also can become something bigger, something more. And like, so that's the place of community and belonging, that I kind of don't want to give that impression that the whole purpose of community that we're in is around eroticism. Because I think we both talked about the fact that often when we're running our things, we have people turn around and go, well, is it just an orgy? And I think that that's a really important place to go. Sex is not the highest value in the spaces that we're working within. Sex is a potential and a part of life, and that can be in those spaces, but it's definitely not the highest place that we move towards.
Indeed. Yeah. When I think of erotic community, to me, it is a community of people who want to explore life and want to feel really alive. And sometimes that can be very healing. You know, sometimes that can be ecstatic. Sometimes that can be joyful. Sometimes it can be really, really sad. So the sexual piece is one expression of our eroticism, as you say, but it's certainly not the full picture. But I think it is a desire to connect with one another on deeper levels, where we get to really reveal who we are, and we get to see one another in these deeper ways. And that can be so nourishing and so connecting, and really foster this deep sense of belonging to something that is bigger than myself.
And I think in that way, eroticism is where it makes me think about life force. It's that place that creates, it's that place that is open and full of opportunity, and that kind of surges, and it's like, it feels like a super creative force. as well, and creative in connection with others. And sometimes we hold that down because it can sometimes feel very big. And I think we might have all had the experience. And I think it does come up for me, particularly in sex, where we're going so into something deep that it's almost scary. It's like, if I keep going into this, oh my God, I'm scared of maybe losing myself, or like the pleasure gets too much, or oh fuck. And I think, yeah, there's a place of like learning to contain our eroticism and to really relish in the softness and the juiciness of that. And then from that place, where is the sense of belonging that we can hold in that, in community, where we're able to value and to see and to love that in each other without needing to do anything about it. There's something about erotic energy that is like, well, I only want to see you in erotic energy if we're having sex or if there's a sexual thing. We don't respect like sitting in eroticism with another that there is not an erotic sexual connection. Actually, I've learned that a lot with you, where there isn't a sexual connection, but have actually been able to sit deeply in eroticism, be seen in that, and be like, yeah, this is fucking fun. This is, I'm showing up in a way that I wouldn't show up with someone that I don't have a sexual connection. And like, the way that that opens my heart and allows me to step into more of a sense of belonging in community and feel actually fulfilled is not something that I would have been able to understand had I not stepped into showing up in those places and not stepped into containers that allowed me to do that.
Yeah, and I think you're speaking to why this is so particularly healing for queer people, that oftentimes, you know, everybody has wounding around our sexuality, but queer people in particular have wounds around our sexuality. And so, again, we're coming from this wounded place, and then we often enter kind of queer culture where we're shown there are acceptable ways to express our sexuality if you want to belong. And in the spaces that you and I are creating, Simon, there's this opportunity to be given a lot of permission to feel and be in and express your eroticism in the truest way possible for you. And so, as people who have oftentimes a lot of wounds around how am I allowed to express this part of myself? Is it okay for me to share this part of myself? And then to get to do that in a place that is really loving and supportive and safe, I think can be profoundly healing. And again, that leads to this deep sense of connection, this sense of belonging, that fundamentally it's okay to be me. And it's okay to be me in these places that I might have felt a lot of shame around.
Yeah, I think that is, for me, the essence of belonging is I learn to accept myself just as I am. I don't need to change myself in order to belong. So often we can be convinced that in order to be part of this community, I need to behave in certain ways. I need to readjust who I am so that this community doesn't reject me. And I think that's the difference to community and like truly feeling a sense of belonging is like coming back to me and like, can I get to a place where I feel okay and accepting of myself just as I am, in my nervousness, in my heart, in the fear, in my seeking and neediness, to just admit and accept it's a part of it. And I kind of feel okay with that. Maybe things will change over time. It's not to be accepting of something isn't to say, oh, this is how I'm going to be for the rest of my life. But it's about not being at war with yourself. And coming to a sense of belonging is about coming away from that battle with I could be better, I feel wrong, I feel broken, I feel like I need fixing, all of this stuff. And that's where we sort of come into a softer sense of internal belonging, which we can then bring into connection with others. And it's a beautiful idea.
Yeah, I think you really nail kind of there's two gifts, if you will, this place of belonging to community, I actually, there's three gifts. Yeah, belonging to community and feeling like these are my people, that this is my tribe, that these are people who love and welcome and accept me, and that we get to be really alive together. We get to really be in this thing of life. There's perhaps a more spiritual level of really belonging to something that is much, much bigger than yourself, belonging to life, belonging to the universe, and this feeling that yeah, me as a being, that I am an integral expression of, you know, the universe, or all of creation itself, and that I as a being belong fundamentally in the world. And then there's this third part, which is that I really belong to myself. And as we are given that permission to be ourselves on these deeper and deeper and deeper levels, we often find, as you describe, coming home to ourself, this sense of being able to rest in the self, the sense of kind of discovering maybe the core of who we are. And so even when I'm not in this community, I still feel this intrinsic sense of belonging wherever I am, because I know that I am home.
It's beautifully said. It makes me really come back to the work that we're offering. But in order to feel that, we need to have tasted it first. And that is what the fundamental place that we look to create within the work is, a sense, a taste of that thing that then I can carry. Like it's a reference point in me that I carry beyond being in one of our temple spaces or one of our workshops, that I carry past that into other things. And to me, that's what we're stepping into. And as we drop into these sort of softer, these places ourselves, we're also going to meet our blocks and our barriers and the things that say, this is unsafe and I don't want to be here. And those are also places that we hold space for, in order to kind of taste those parts and go, this is just who I am. This is just who I am. So yeah, that's what we're here for. And that's what we want to, and what we do create in space together.
Beautiful. Well, I think that's a good place to end. So to everyone who's been listening, thank you so much. You can continue following Simon and I on our socials and learn about upcoming events that we've got going on. And yeah, hope to see you soon.
Bye.